When Nissan introduced a luxury division back in the late 1980s, they essentially had two models. One really good one, the Q, and then the other ones were merely just rebadged Nissans. Now, the vehicle responsible for turning Nissan's luxury division Infiniti around is this model, the Infiniti G35. Now, when Infiniti introduced this vehicle back in 2003, it literally helped to inject some passion, some sportiness, and some appeal back into an otherwise luxury brand that many felt was on its way toward extinction. So what makes this Infiniti G35 such a great sedan? Let's find out. Now, 2003 was the first model year that the G35 entered the US. The Infiniti G35 bears no resemblance to the Infiniti G20. That was essentially just a slow-selling, four-cylinder, like pseudo-luxury sedan that was kind of based on the Nissan Sentra, but it was based on a different Japanese-only market vehicle. Now, the G35 is actually based on another Japanese market vehicle, a really good one at that, the Nissan Skyline. The Nissan Skyline is known as a sports car in the Japanese market, not in the US, but Nissan decided to bring it over as an Infiniti model for 2003, and it really helped just turn the brand into the Japanese BMW that it is known as today. It's a badge that a lot of luxury, that the other two Asian luxury manufacturers definitely wanted, and Infiniti was the lucky one to get it. Now, 2003, the vehicle was first introduced as just a rear-drive G35 only. It's available in coupe and sedan forms, just like the 3 Series. 04 is when they added all-wheel drive. This 2005 model is when they actually updated the first-generation model significantly. You can tell the differences with the new front styling, new grille, new bumper, new alloy wheels. The rear end has slightly modified taillights to make it look a little bit softer. Push-button intelligent key was added as an option for 05. And the styling differences on the outside definitely make the 05 look a lot better. This one also happens to have the rear wing spoiler that helps the back end look a lot better as well. The interior is where this vehicle got a significant upgrade, and it's one of the lacking characteristics of the original Infiniti G. Now, push-button start was a new option for 2005, and this one luckily has it. Here's Nissan Infiniti's smart key access. To lock the door, push this little button right here, and that locks the doors for you. To unlock it, you have to push the button again, and it unlocks the doors for you. Now, coming inside, this one does have kind of your beige leather interior. It's pretty much just classic old Nissan Infiniti interior here. Now, coming inside, the step-in is actually not bad. The roof isn't too low or anything like that. And you can see, this one actually doesn't have push-button start. It just has a little, this is Nissan's older system, Infiniti's older system, sorry. To start the car, just, keep the key on you and just turn it like you're gonna start any other car. And of course, this one does come equipped with Infiniti's corporate 3.5 V6. You can see the interior here is pretty, nice design. You got a T-shaped center stack dash design here. All the windows are automatic up and down for the driver and the front, and all 4 windows essentially. The materials in here are, I wouldn't say top of the class, but they were class competitive back in the day. You have soft touch dash materials on the upper portions here. You have Infiniti's signature clock. You actually have a dual tier glove box, which it kind of needs it. Both glove compartments are pretty small, but they are damped, lined with felt, so decent materials. The vents here, the materials that they use on the vents, a little bit on the cheaper side for me. I see a lot of Nissan corporate sharing, in terms of the materials in here. This aluminum trim was new for 05. Before, they used to use a silver painted plastic that kind of resembled stuff you find in a Sentra. 5-speed automatic is the transmission on this model. A 6-speed manual was optional. As you can see, you do have an ashtray in here. This one also happens to have the premium package, as it gives you the Bose stereo, the moonroof. Coming to the door panels, it is soft touch right here with chrome door handles. Nice stitched leather and aluminum that goes onto where the driver's elbows will rest. Also perforated leather. It's actually hard plastic down here with a little bit of storage, no bottle holders or anything like that. You can see this one also has heated seats, your dual cup holders, a little bit small for a cup holder. Coming to the center console here, it's lined with felt. It's pretty small, but they give you a power outlet in there. The one thing is there's no USB or aux port in here. Don't expect to find that in this vehicle. You do get a little storage right there. If you get the navigation model, it'll actually come with a pop-up navigation system. Infinity's gone away from that. The steering wheel essentially comes right off of the 350Z or the G35 Coupe. The one nice thing about this vehicle is it does have power tilt and telescoping, and the signature feature about this car and the Z is how the instrument panel actually moves with the steering wheel when you adjust it. That was a signature design feature of this vehicle, and a lot of the current customers definitely like that. Now, coming to the rear seat of the Infiniti G, it's on the bigger side in terms of the class. Remember, this competes with the 3 Series in terms of size, but in terms of space, it's more like in the line with a 5 Series. You do have soft touch materials on the door panels. It's pretty much carried over. There's no storage here for the rear seat passengers, but you do get dual map pockets. You also get vents back here, and you have a rather large center tunnel here. This is for the rear drive shaft because this vehicle is rear wheel drive, but this one's not. It's an all wheel drive model. You have a nice armrest here with cup holders and no storage, but you do get a nice pass through right there. And the one thing about the rear seats I want you to see is there's actually a little part right there that allows them to recline. The seats will allow the backseat passengers to get a recline back here. Now, coming to the trunk of the G, it's class competitive. It measures about 14.5 cubic feet. You can see it has strut type hinges to not intrude on your cargo. The seats do not fold down, but you do have that little pass through. And then, of course, under the hood, you'll find Nissan's corporate 3.5 liter V6 engine. This is their VQ35DE, their signature engine. It's still in production today. And the G, it makes more power than the Nissan siblings, 280 horsepower. And if you get the 6-speed manual, you actually get 298 horsepower. I want you to notice something. There is no strut here. The newer Gs have a strut. This one still has a hood prop. And then there's a little thing right here that says Advanced Front Midship Design. Basically what that means is the engine is placed further back. You can see there's the actual front, the strut towers for the front axle. The engine is placed a little bit further back to help with the weight distribution, and the hood actually utilizes aluminum, same with the front suspension components. It's all designed to help make the G, a really sporty driving sports sedan. So let's take a look at how it all works. Now, I personally think one of the better used car or used luxury sports sedans on the market is this model. So let's take a look and see how the first generation G35 drives. Now, because it's not a push button start, you actually don't have to put your foot on the brake, just turn it like you would, like a normal key. Now, the one thing I forgot to mention is the seat controls on the G are actually on the other side. Instead of being, right here, down at the bottom, they're over here on this side. So that's how you distinguish a first gen G. The second gens have moved it to the correct side. Now, driving this car is pretty fun. It's nice. You have pretty good visibility. These pillars are actually a lot thinner than I thought. That curvy hood looks kind of weird in my eyes from, the view over there, but you get used to it. This car drives, like a 370Z and a tux going to a classy dinner party. It's a little rough around the edges, likes to have some fun, but it's a lot more, easy to drive on a daily basis. And you can see the power on this thing is just unbelievable. It's, even to this day, 280 horsepower on this thing is still fast, and the engine makes a nice sound. The one thing I am noticing is it sounds a lot better than, a second gen G. I've driven a lot of second gen Gs that are like 09s, 07s, and this sounds a lot better. My aunt actually has a 2007 with roughly the same mileage as this. This one has 55,000 miles, really low mileage, and the engine is quieter in this car. It just sounds really good. The 5-speed automatic has crisp shifts. I do notice it doesn't have the DS mode that the second gen has. It just has a manual mode. And it's just a really nice engine. This one is just a really nice, clean example. It's been a while since I've driven one of the first gen Gs. Now, in terms of the noise levels, it's better, but it's not, it's not Lexus smooth in this car. It's, you hear the engine, you hear the road noise a bit, you hear a little bit more wind noise, but it's still, manageable. I mean, this car focuses more on the sport end as opposed to the luxury end, what Lexus gives you. The steering is very responsive. This thing kind of just changes directions with ease and authority. It just urges you to go faster. The ride quality is on the firmer side. An Acura TL will ride softer. A Lexus IS actually probably rides about the same. The BMW still gives you, I think, the best balance. But the steering is also very heavy. That's another Infiniti G signature. It's just like a BMW 3 Series. The steering is heavy. If you want a lighter steering, go for an Acura or a Lexus. But this car overall still, you know, is pretty nice. And on the used car market, I definitely would highly recommend one if you're looking for a luxury sedan with lower maintenance, you know, better reliability than, you know, the German competition. But of course, still a little bit rough around the edges. Like I said, you have some, you know, cheap materials here and there. This is probably where my criticism is. This interior is very old to me. It's got amber lit instrumentation. I'm not a fan of amber lit instrumentations in general. I think that it looks cheap and dated. But as like the new one, the second gen, definitely looks much better. And Infiniti is getting ready to redesign this car, so I'm very curious to see what the next generation G is going to look like, because this is Nissan's bread and butter, let's face it. Now these are 17-inch wheels, and the turning radius is not bad. And this one's the all-wheel drive model, but it still will, you know, spin its tires a tad. It's just showing you just how much power this engine has. So, if you guys are in the market for a luxury sports sedan, you definitely need to put a used G35 on your list. I actually like the first gen better than the second gen in the way it drives. I like the interior of the second gen more, but I like the engine and the driving dynamics of the first gen more as well. So, thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you all later.